Every man and woman carries within themselves the blueprint of the life they are destined to live. Yet many drift through the years, trapped by habits of mediocrity, never daring to raise the standard by which they measure their own existence. If you are to attract a better life, you must first declare within yourself, I am no longer satisfied with the ordinary. I will demand excellence from myself in every thought, every choice, every action. Raising your standards begins with a definite purpose. A drifting mind accepts crumbs, but a determined spirit demands a feast. Purpose transforms vague wishes into burning desires. Once you decide who you must become, mediocrity becomes unbearable. You cannot attract a better life while clinging to the comfort of lower standards. Just as a diamond is formed under great pressure, the character of a man is refined under the demands of higher expectations. Discipline is the foundation of this transformation. Without it, dreams dissolve into dust. Consider this truth. The world does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are willing to demand of yourself. Discipline means rising earlier when others sleep, working with precision when others drift, speaking words of strength when others complain. Each act of discipline sharpens your standard and attracts the life that mirrors your effort. But no one climbs alone. The company you keep either elevates or poisons your standards. Choose to associate with those who live with integrity, ambition, and faith. Their energy will compel you to reach higher, for the law of association is inescapable. You will become like those with whom you spend your time. If your circle tolerates weakness, excuses, and apathy, your own life will reflect the same. But if your companions demand growth, vision, and honor, you will rise to meet them. Do not wait for others to set the bar for you. A true leader demands more of himself than anyone else ever could. The man who accepts only excellence from himself attracts excellence from life. The woman who holds herself accountable to the highest vision of her destiny awakens power that no outside critic can diminish. Remember this, when you raise your standards, you stop competing with others and you begin competing with the best version of yourself. To attract a better life, you must also develop faith in abundance. Life is not a game of scarcity. It is a field of limitless opportunity waiting for those who believe. Standards rise when you believe that greatness is possible for you, when you believe that wealth is plentiful, that opportunities are abundant, that success belongs to those who claim it with confidence. Then you unlock doors that fear had kept shut. Faith is the magnet that draws abundance into your experience. Finally, action seals the promise of higher standards. It is not enough to dream, not enough to declare, not enough to visualize. You must act. Each small step toward excellence compounds into monumental change. Each decision to live by a higher code attracts circumstances, resources, and people aligned with your vision. Raise your standards today, not tomorrow. Refuse to live one more hour beneath the level of life you were created for. Your better life is waiting. It will not come by chance, but by choice. Raise your standards, discipline your habits, choose your associations wisely, demand greatness from yourself, believe in abundance, and act with conviction. Do this, and you will discover that life will always rise to meet the level of the standards you hold. A life without purpose drifts like a ship without a compass, tossed by every wave, carried by every current, but never reaching a worthy destination. Purpose is the force that steadies the sails, directs the course, and compels a man or woman to rise above mediocrity. The moment you discover a definite purpose, your standards for living can never remain the same. For purpose demands that you rise to meet it. When a person has no purpose, life is lived in reaction to circumstances. Days are wasted in aimless motion, and the standards of thought, habit, and action are set by the crowd. But the instant one fixes a clear purpose, there awakens a fire within that refuses to tolerate weakness, excuses, or wasted potential. Purpose lifts the mind above the trivial and commands the spirit to embrace excellence. Standards rise not by accident, but by the inner voice of a goal so compelling that anything less than growth becomes unacceptable. Think of the builder who envisions a towering cathedral. He cannot allow his workers to use weak stone or crooked beams, for his vision demands precision and strength. In the same way, once you hold a definite purpose in your heart, your life refuses to be built with poor materials, low habits, careless words, wasted hours. A purpose-driven mind becomes selective. It chooses discipline over comfort, persistence over retreat, excellence over mediocrity. Every great achievement in history was born from this principle. The inventor who sought to harness light, the explorer who sailed toward unknown shores, the leader who lifted nations from despair, all were driven by a purpose so intense that it demanded new standards of action, courage, and endurance. Purpose has the power to turn ordinary men into extraordinary leaders, for it creates a standard of living far above the reach of fear or doubt. Purpose also eliminates confusion. Without it, the mind flutters between distractions, chasing every glittering temptation but finding no true satisfaction. With it, decisions become clear. You no longer ask, "What should I do today?" but instead, "What must I do to advance toward my purpose?" That one question removes hesitation and fills life with direction. Standards naturally rise because every action is measured against the destiny you have chosen. But a definite purpose does more than raise your standards. It magnetizes your life. The moment you commit to a vision with conviction, you begin to attract opportunities, people, and resources aligned with that vision. The universe responds to the individual who knows where he is going. Just as a magnet draws iron, purpose draws possibility. Yet, you must be prepared, for these blessings only remain with those whose standards match their purpose. If your goal is greatness, you cannot live by the standards of weakness. If your aim is abundance, you cannot think in terms of scarcity. Life grants what your purpose demands, and here lies the truth. A purpose is not discovered once and forgotten. It must be reaffirmed daily, spoken into your mind until it becomes your very identity. Each morning you must remind yourself, "This is who I am, and this is where I am going." That declaration sharpens your focus and strengthens your standard. Over time, you will notice that your thoughts grow stronger, your actions more deliberate, your habits more refined. Purpose will have reshaped you into the kind of person who cannot accept anything less than a higher life. So decide today. Choose a purpose that is worthy of your potential, and demand from yourself the standards that purpose requires. Refuse to live another hour drifting in uncertainty. Life will always rise to meet the level of the standard you set, and your standards will always rise to meet the level of your purpose. Set that purpose, and you will discover that you have within you the power to create a life far greater than you have ever imagined. Self-discipline is the gateway through which every man and woman must pass if they are to transform their lives. Without discipline, talent is wasted, opportunities slip through idle fingers, and dreams fade into dust. Discipline is not a punishment, but a power, a key that unlocks doors which remain closed to the undisciplined. It is the bridge between thought and achievement, between desire and destiny, between who you are today and who you can become tomorrow. The individual who cannot govern himself cannot expect to govern circumstances. The one who cannot command his own impulses cannot expect life to reward him with mastery. Self-discipline means ruling the mind when it would wander, ruling the tongue when it would speak without purpose, ruling the appetite when it would betray health, ruling the will when it would surrender too soon. Each act of mastery over self becomes a brick laid in the foundation of transformation. It is easy to give in to comfort, to follow the path of least resistance, to excuse failure as fate. But every comfort has a hidden cost, every indulgence a silent debt. The price of undisciplined living is regret, weakness, and wasted years. The price of discipline is effort, sacrifice, and persistence, but its reward is strength, freedom, and achievement. Those who choose discipline choose the higher road, the one that demands more but gives more. Consider the athlete who disciplines his body daily, rising before dawn, training when others sleep, refusing foods and habits that weaken him. At first the discipline feels like a burden, but over time it becomes his strength, setting him apart, preparing him for victories the undisciplined can never know. So it is with every field of life. The disciplined thinker rises above confusion. The disciplined worker rises above mediocrity. The disciplined dreamer rises above doubt. Discipline is the invisible hand that shapes greatness. Transformation never happens in a single moment. It is the result of countless small victories of discipline. Each time you resist distraction to focus on your task, you are transformed. Each time you speak truth, when a lie would be easier, you are transformed. Each time you finish what you begin, even when it costs you more effort than you thought you had, you are transformed. The great changes that appear to the world as sudden breakthroughs are nothing more than the quiet accumulation of disciplined choices. Self-discipline also breeds confidence. When you know that you can command yourself, you fear nothing. Doubt fades, hesitation disappears, for you trust your own ability to follow through. Life bends in favor of the man or woman who has proven worthy of trust in small things, for it is by conquering the small that one becomes capable of conquering the great. A disciplined soul walks with an authority that circumstances cannot shake. The undisciplined mind is a prisoner to moods, shifting like the wind, enslaved by external forces. But the disciplined mind is free, for it answers not to impulse but to intention. True liberty is not doing whatever one pleases, but doing what one has purposed regardless of how one feels. This is the freedom that discipline brings, the power to act with consistency in a world ruled by inconsistency. Each of us stands daily at the threshold of this gateway. One step leads to the ease of surrender, the other to the challenge of self-command. If you would transform your life, you must step boldly through discipline's door, for no other path will lead you from where you are to where you desire to be. The man who rises above the crowd is the one who demands of himself far more than the world demands of him. The masses wait for someone else to set the standard, but the rare individual raises his own bar so high that no outside critic can shake him, and no circumstance can keep him small. Greatness is never granted by permission. It is claimed by self-imposed expectation. When you demand more of yourself than others do, you become untouchable, for your life is measured not by their opinions, but by your own relentless pursuit of excellence. Mediocrity begins where self-demand ends. Most people work only as hard as their job requires, give only as much as is necessary to get by, dream only as far as society says is possible. They limit themselves to the minimum because they have not discovered the power of stretching beyond it. The man who says, "I will do more than I am paid for, I will learn more than I am taught, I will endure more than is expected," writes his own future in bold letters, while those who cling to the minimum remain servants of chance. When you demand more of yourself, you begin to transform every ordinary situation into extraordinary preparation. The student who studies beyond the lesson becomes the teacher of tomorrow. The worker who labors beyond his shift becomes the leader of tomorrow. The dreamer who imagines beyond the visible becomes the creator of tomorrow. Life observes the standard you set for yourself and rewards you accordingly. The law is simple. You will never rise above the standard you hold within. It is easy to blame others for low expectations. Parents may not demand enough. Teachers may overlook your potential. Employers may be satisfied with your average performance. But the one who wishes to lead cannot live by the weak standards of others. The fire of greatness must be fed from within. If those around you set the bar low, you must raise it higher. If they expect little, you must expect much. For it is not the applause of others that determines destiny, but the silent covenant you make with yourself that you will settle for nothing less than your best. Demanding more of yourself does not mean driving with cruelty. It means calling forth hidden reserves you did not know you possessed. The body grows stronger only when the muscles are pushed beyond comfort. The mind grows sharper only when it is stretched beyond what it thinks it can comprehend. The spirit grows braver only when it is tested beyond the limits of fear. Every demand you place upon yourself is a summons for growth, and every time you answer, you expand the horizon of your life. The great achievers of history did not rise because the world demanded their greatness. They rose because they demanded it of themselves long before anyone else believed. They set higher standards for their thinking, higher standards for their effort, higher standards for their endurance. They asked of themselves what others thought impossible, and in answering that demand, they became living proof of what human potential can accomplish. Look within and measure the distance between who you are and who you could be. That gap is closed only by self-demand. Ask more of your time, more of your habits, more of your courage, more of your focus. When others say, this is enough, you must say, I will go further. When others say, this is too difficult, you must say, I will endure longer. When others stop, you must continue. For in that extra demand lies the secret that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Faith in abundance is the unseen hand that pulls a man out of limitation and sets him upon the path of greater living. The individual who believes only in scarcity lives small, speaks small, and receives small, for life mirrors back to him the boundaries of his own belief. But the man who dares to believe that abundance is real, available, and within his reach creates a magnetic force around his mind that draws opportunity, wealth, health, and favor into his experience. Faith in abundance is not wishful thinking. It is the recognition that the universe is rich with resources and that those resources respond to the one who claims them with unwavering conviction. Many live as beggars at the table of life, taking only the crumbs they think they deserve. They are bound by the chains of doubt, whispering to themselves that success is for others, that wealth is scarce, that opportunity has already been taken. This poverty of thought becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. A man who believes in lack cannot act with boldness, cannot think with creativity, cannot speak with authority, and so he receives only the scraps of existence. But when faith in abundance fills the mind, a new confidence arises. The man of faith dares to ask, dares to move, dares to claim what others are too timid to pursue. Faith in abundance transforms standards. It compels you to lift your thoughts from limitation to possibility. The mind, once content with little, begins to see visions of greatness. The person who once tolerated mediocrity begins to demand excellence. Faith says, there is more available, and I will align myself to receive it. With such faith, every act of effort multiplies, every door appears larger, every challenge becomes an invitation to grow. The standard of living you accept will always reflect the level of faith you possess. Consider the farmer who sows seed. If he believes the soil will yield only a little, he scatters sparingly, and his harvest is small. But if he believes in abundance, he sows generously, knowing the ground will return far more than he has planted. So it is with life. Those who believe in scarcity give little effort, little imagination, little courage, and receive little. Those who believe in abundance pour themselves out, invest in their growth, extend their reach, and life responds in kind with multiplied returns. Faith in abundance is not blind, it is visionary. It does not ignore obstacles, but it refuses to be confined by them. It does not deny difficulty, but it declares that within every difficulty lies the seed of greater opportunity. The faithful mind sees beyond the present moment into the vast storehouse of possibility. Where others see walls, faith sees doors. Where others see endings, faith sees beginnings. Where others see failure, faith sees a stepping stone toward higher ground. Every act of abundance begins in thought. Speak abundance, and your words carry authority. Think abundance, and your ideas attract solutions. Act with abundance, and your actions inspire confidence in others. This is why faith must not be passive but active. To live in faith is to walk daily as though the promise of abundance is already yours. To hesitate is to betray your belief. To doubt is to poison your seed. But to persist with faith is to guarantee that the harvest must come. Faith in abundance is the dividing line between the man who merely survives and the one who truly lives. One looks at life through the lens of lack and accepts whatever comes. The other looks through the lens of abundance and commands life to rise to meet his vision. It is not the world that sets the limit, but the measure of faith within. The one who believes in scarcity shrinks, while the one who believes in abundance expands until his life itself becomes a testimony of possibility. Action is the seal that proves whether a man's standards are real or only words spoken in the air. Many speak of greatness, many dream of abundance, many declare they will rise higher, but only those who act place their mark upon life. Action is the evidence of belief, the signature of determination, the final measure of one's standard. Without action, the finest plans rot in the soil of imagination. With action, even the smallest seed of intention grows into a towering result. The world rewards movement, not mere intention. A man may think noble thoughts, but if he does not act, he remains as he was. A woman may speak with fiery conviction, but if she does not act, her words echo into nothing. The individual who acts, however imperfectly, places himself on the road to transformation, for life cannot resist a person in motion. Action carries energy, and energy attracts opportunity, resources, and people who respond to that motion. High standards without action become chains of hypocrisy. The one who claims discipline but never practices it is a pretender. The one who speaks of faith but never steps into the unknown is deceiving himself. Standards are tested in the crucible of action. It is easy to declare, "I will live with excellence," but excellence is proven when you rise early, when you persist through fatigue, when you deliver more than expected, when you do what is right even when it costs you. Action is the seal that makes your standards visible to the world. Action is also the great equalizer. Many are born into wealth, privilege, or talent, yet without action they drift into mediocrity. Others are born with little, overlooked, and underestimated, yet through relentless action they rise to positions of influence and power. Life bows not to potential but to performance, not to dreams but to deeds. The man who acts daily, steadily, with purpose, surpasses the genius who refuses to move. The secret is not in talking about what will be done, but in doing it until it is accomplished. Every action compounds. One disciplined act today becomes a habit tomorrow, and that habit becomes character. Every small step builds momentum, and momentum is the force that carries you through seasons when motivation fades. Those who wait for perfect conditions never act, and those who never act never see results. The one who moves forward, even when uncertain, learns, adapts, and eventually conquers. Motion creates clarity. By acting, you discover what works, what fails, and what must be refined, but without action, you discover nothing at all. Fear whispers to the mind that it is safer to wait, that the time is not right, that failure is too great a risk. But fear is silenced when confronted with action. The very act of moving dissolves hesitation. The step forward weakens doubt. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. The more you act, the stronger your courage becomes, until action itself is your natural response to every challenge. Standards are invisible until they take form in deeds. A man who demands excellence from himself proves it by his work ethic, by the precision of his craft, by the consistency of his choices. A woman who demands abundance proves it by stepping boldly into opportunities, by investing effort without hesitation, by speaking and moving with the authority of someone who knows she is destined for more. The world does not see your thoughts or hear your private declarations. It only witnesses your actions, and from them it decides who you are. Action is the seal, the confirmation, the undeniable proof that you have raised your standards and intend to live by them. It is the dividing line between the dreamer and the achiever, between the talker and the doer, between the one who wishes and the one who wins.